The wind moved slowly across the desert, whispering through endless sand as two old figures walked beneath a sky full of promises. In his heart, Abraham carried a word from God. A word that refused to die. A word that said, "You will be the father of nations." But every morning he woke to the same silence. No child. No heir. Only time, slipping away like sand through his fingers. Beside him walked Sarah, once strong, once hopeful. But life had taught her how to hide disappointment behind quiet strength. She had lived her whole life barren. The years had passed her by, and now even nature itself screamed, "Idi Stulat," and yet God had spoken. The promise was impossible. Sarah was old, far beyond the age of childbearing, and she had never conceived before. Still, God kept reminding them. Years passed. Hope would fade, then return, then fade again. There were nights Abraham would stare up at the stars, remembering the moment God told him his descendants would be as countless as those lights scattered across the heavens. And so, Abraham waited. 25 long years passed between the promise and the miracle. 25 years of wondering, 25 years of silence. 25 years of learning that sometimes faith means walking forward when you see absolutely nothing ahead. Sarah even laughed once when she overheard she would have a child. Not because she was cruel, but because hope had hurt her too many times before. It felt safer to laugh at the impossible than to believe in it again. But God was never late. Then one day, quietly, without any grand announcement, God moved. The Bible says the Lord did for Sarah exactly what he had promised, and she gave birth to a son in Abraham's old age, at the exact time God had planned. Abraham was 100 years old when he finally held that child in his arms. Sarah was 90, and in that moment, time itself seemed to bow in reverence to God. The child was named Isaac, which means laughter, because God had turned decades of quiet tears into a joy that could not be contained. And suddenly, every delay made sense. If Isaac had come earlier, they might have thought it was their own strength, or maybe even luck. But God chose the perfect moment, a moment when only he could receive the glory. Because God's timing is not our timing. He is never rushing, and he is never late. He is always working, especially in the silence, in the waiting, in the long years when it feels like nothing is happening. So when your life feels like an empty desert, when the promises you're holding on to feel distant and faded, when years seem to pass with no answer, remember Abraham, remember Sarah. The same God who works in centuries also works in moments, and when his time finally comes, it doesn't just answer your prayer, it rewrites your history. Thank you for watching. If this story encouraged you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that explores the power of faith. We'll see you in the next one.